old hand to you. You're gonna be great. You're gonna love it.
I should mention that we're live, by the way, but yes.
Yeah, I guess what it means is I need to preemptively shock all the time when storms are coming through.
I mean, maybe not necessarily shock, but up the chlorine is probably not a bad idea.
Just pour all of the chlorine.
Yeah, that's just it shocking it. I mean, seriously, my chlorine levels are generally ranging higher than average anyway.
When you're doing
euphemism?
No.
I'm so looking forward to the get together. If the chlorine burn off
No,
that top layer
it's not like my eyes are burning high. It's just it's a tiny bit on the higher side because apparently the pump for my pool is designed for one that's 3 times the size. So it blasts those chlorine.
It's hard, so it'll last longer.
Well, it also doesn't have a timer, which I bought and I need to install. But then again, with all these problems, it needs to run 24/7 anyway. So it's all good.
Yeah. Anyway.
Right. It's after 9, so
yeah, we should start, and then yep. Hey, lose that top layer skin. I'm okay with that. Get some new growth.
Oh, did you ever read or see the movie Andromeda Strain?
Yes. Both.
Okay, so you remember? Okay, so the book was actually better at it anyway, where they describe when they go through the sanitization process, and their outer layer of skin is just blasted away into a white powdery like dust because they have to be perfectly clean to enter into the chamber, and it's just like they're just hit with a ray, like a death ray, for just a half a second, and then only their outer layer of skin is just gone. That was a memorable moment in my life reading about that.
Okay. In my life,
I was like, wow, dude, I've got nothing but unbelievable. That is like, I'm talking about it now. It's like been 20 something years since I read that book, and I still remember that scene just as well as if I had watched it on TV.
All right.
and I've never seen the movie, so it doesn't matter.
I recall watching the movie in 8th grade science class. I don't know what the tie-in was, but the teacher really wanted us to see it, so we watched it.
Is it a good movie? I have no idea.
I'm sure it pales in comparison to the book. Although I just said I read the book, but I don't remember the book as much as the movie.
Well, I also read The Terminal Man, another Michael Crichton book, and then I saw the movie right after it, and the movie is like complete trash and ignores the only thing that's important about the book. Like, it gets to the end, and the whole thing where it's supposed to like kind of give this glimpse of this is why man should not rely so much on technology, and they just have like a dude become like a mass murderer and then fall into a dumpster, and then the movie ends. Like, it's just like one of the dumbest movies ever, but the book was actually pretty good.
I don't know if I've ever seen the movie for this.
I picked it up used at Blockbuster on VHS for $1, and I didn't even know it existed otherwise.
Okay, we should probably get started.
We should get started.
All right, let's do it.
Let me just jot down the time. Everybody good? Tracy, you good?
I'm good. Let me try and turn my beepings.
All right. It's Wednesday, August the 1st. This is GameEnthus Podcast, episode 351. I'm one of the hosts here. Aaron, Tiny is here on camera.
Hey, I am here.
And you're on camera. I can see you.
Yeah.
I'm waving at you.
I can do this, and only half the audience will be able to see it.
That's true.
So, because half the audience watches or listens live, and then the other half listens later.
Yeah, let's go with that. I don't think those metrics really. Maybe
that might be being a bit optimistic. Whatever. That's
line up, but yeah.
In which direction? I'm not sure.
I'm not at liberty to say.
All right.
Mike is here. He's still a TurboGrafx logo. Welcome, Mike.
Yeah, I'm on an appearance streak. I'm keeping it up.
All right, well, we're glad you're back. But We're always.
How about I'm keeping it going? Let's keep it clean here.
We're gonna get Mike a camera.
We do like it clean, and we do need to get you a camera. I mean, if I'm
Also,
on here with like no
if
beard,
that camera stays in a box in the corner of my room, so be it.
That'll be impressive that it returned to a box since I was just gonna grab one from down here.
So in other words, I will place said camera in said box.
Anyway,
well, enough about us. We have a guest this week, as we often do and are wont to do. We have Tracy Fullerton from USC Game Innovation Lab. If I've said that wrong, Tracy, please correct me. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks. It's good to be here, I think, so far.
Good to hear.
We'll see how it goes.
So for folks who are not familiar with you and what it is that you do, would you mind just talking about yourself?
Sure. Okay. That's my least favorite thing to do, but yeah, sure.
I'm sorry.
No, it's part of the thing. So I work at USC as part of USC Games, and I'm a professor there. I teach game design. So I basically have the best job in the world. To make games, and I get to help other people make games. The games that I make come out of my research lab, which is called the Game Innovation Lab. And we try to make games there that maybe wouldn't get made even in indie scenarios, because we can take really large risks. That's one of the benefits of where we are. We try to make games that are pretty much as out there as we can think. And the way I met Aaron actually recently was showing one of those games at the Smithsonian arcade, the Sam arcade. And it was a game about Walden where you play as Henry David Thoreau. So that's an example of the kind of really sort of experimental, strange idea games that we make.
Good stuff.
All right. So I'm just curious. Like, I just like to hear if you have any stories you could recount about just what your experience has been like trying to teach something.
Well, early on, I mean, I've been teaching games. I was in the industry for a long time and teaching just one night a week. I would go down and teach like one night a week. And, early on when I started teaching, there wasn't this idea that you could teach people how to make games. When I would talk to my friends in the industry, they'd say, well, you kind of either know how to make games or you don't know how to make games. I don't think you can teach people to make games. And I just thought that was wrong. I was like, well, you can teach people how to play music. You can teach them how to write. You can teach them to do so many things. I think probably you can teach people how to make games too, if we just thought about it a little bit,
That makes sense, yeah.
I don't know why somehow there was this mysterious idea that you just had to get in the industry, work your way up, and there was no way that you could actually learn any of this stuff before you got into the industry. So we went around basically trying to understand like best practices, what kind of things that people really did when they were learning about what is play and why do people play games and how do you actually make new games for people to play. And so I wound up building a curriculum, and then out of that curriculum I wrote a book, and then I helped other people build curriculums. And so now all these years later, I guess we've had the lab now for, 2004. So,
14 years.
Yeah, exactly. So like 14 years we've had the lab. The program started in 2002. So like 16 years, and I was teaching since 1999. So I've been teaching for like 19 years now. And I hope I get better at it. I hope we learn more and more about how to teach people to make games. But yeah, early on, it was just not something that people thought you could do. And now I think you see that a lot of folks, really interesting game designers, come out of these various programs. And they've had the opportunity to experiment and come up with ideas outside the constraints of the marketplace, and then they bring sort of innovation orientation to the companies that they go to.
What are some of the biggest success stories?
I think, there's been quite a few out of our program specifically. I think that game company is probably the kind of most lauded company to come out of the program, and they made games like Flow and Flower and Journey. There are a lot of other games. So Ian Dallas, who started Giant Sparrow and did What Remains of Edith Finch, also came out of the program. The people who are doing, for example, the VR startup Servios came out of the program. There's Asher Vollmer who did the mobile game Threes, which people probably know better as its like clone. So there's like 1,000 billion clones of Threes, and so they probably know. I think it's called 1024 is the big clone.
I only know
but
Threes,
so good, thank you. You only know the one that Asher sweated, and labored over for like a long time to balance, and then somebody else just copied him. But yeah, so there's been a lot of different kinds of successes coming out of the program, and that's really exciting for us.
I'm gonna have to admit something now. You asked me about earbuds or headphones, and for some reason I just zoned out. Those might be kind of necessary because I can hear myself coming through.
Wait, but sorry, Tracy, talk real quick.
Yeah, hello.
And
testing one.
You can't hear. Am I echoing right now?
You're not echoing.
No, everybody sounds good now. Aaron, only you were echoing on my end earlier.
Yeah, but when I coughed, I heard myself cough on the stream too, and that was weird.
That's weird.
Anyway,
everybody sounds good to me now.
Yeah, it's fine now, so that's cool.
Okay, how about now?
So,
okay, it stopped. Okay, good.
That's super weird. Anyway, that's why. Yeah, I was like, why? I was so concerned. I'm like, why am I hearing? Either Mike coughed at the exact same time I did, or else I heard that.
Mike, stop the tandem.
So, anyway, so so you made a.
Mike dropped off.
But he's still in. So did he just kill his video? I don't know, Aaron. But now I'm in the middle of the screen. Yep. Anyway, while you're fixing that,
back. Because it looks crazy.
How do you have a game about Walden?
How do I have a game about Walden?
Yeah.
Yes, that's the whole thing. Is you find the craziest idea that you can think of, and you make a game about it. That's the idea. So I had my own game company.
Okay.
And I was like, I worked myself to the bone. We raised venture capital. We did the whole big thing. It was like it was, dealing with big clients like MTV and NBC and stuff like that. And I just worked myself to the bone. And when I closed that company, I went up going on this road trip around the country and really thinking about what in the world I want to do next, And I was reading Walden while I was driving across the country. And I have relatives. My dad and all my extended family is from Boston and the surrounding areas. So I wound up finishing the Book of Walden, like on the shores of Walden Pond. And that experience really kind of gave me this idea. I thought, it really spoke to me because he talks a lot about balance in our lives and what are we working for? Why do we work so hard? And here I was, a person who designed play, but I was working all the time. I was working so much that I didn't have any time to play. And thinking about the ideas of Walden, and I was there at the pond, and I thought, a lot of people never will have this experience. They'll never be able to stand on the shores of this pond and read this book in the context of the place it was written.
Gotcha.
Wouldn't it be neat if I made a game where you could be there, literally experiencing what he experienced? you know, and wouldn't it be neat if I made a game where the objective wasn't necessarily to get more stuff or, you know, level up all the way or, you know, be the best, but maybe where the objective was more about finding a balance, you know, and could I make this game that in a way would teach people like me who were apt to go out and just work their asses off until they were so tired and burnt out that they couldn't even play anymore. Maybe I could make a game where people would learn a little bit more about this, you know, early on in those times when we're supposed to be reading Walden in school and talking about it. And most kids read it in urban classrooms in dry situations, and they're just like, whatever.
Right, like, what does this have to do with me kind of deal?
I relate to this.
What does this have to do with me? Exactly. Right? And maybe I thought I could make this really cool, immersive experience, an environment that you know, kids are really used to. They're used to these beautiful game, you know, environments. But instead of having to go and get all the stuff and level up and blah, 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 and, you know, be the best, maybe the goal of the game would be to, like I say, find this balance. So, you know, that was my initial inkling. And I didn't actually wind up starting to make the game until about 5 years after I thought of it. And then I worked on the game for just over 10 years. Wow. So it's been a long time.
That's a labor of love.
Well,
yeah.
A lot of engine changes and...
Yeah, a lot of engine. Oh my God, yes. A lot of engine. Well, so we start everything in the lab. We generally start on paper. Mm-hmm. We actually make paper prototypes of the sort of the game levels and the system, and we play everything out before we code anything because it's so easy to make changes when you're working on paper. And, you know, it's just basically like a little sandbox, and you can say, oh, well, you know, what if we did it this way? What if we did it that way? And when you want to make something super different, it's important to be able to make changes, you know, and to be able to play test. So we do everything on paper first. We actually worked on paper for the system of the game for probably about 2 years. And then when we had the system and, you know, we had an idea of what the simulation was going to be, what the world was going to be. Then we started building 2D, just scratch prototypes of that simulation so it would run in real time and see what it would be like to actually run that underlying simulation in real time. And then, you know, we did a bunch of those, kept tweaking it until we finally moved to designing what is the world, the actual 3D world look like. And again, we started that, we started in some older game engines, and there was we thought, oh, we're going to have to put this whole thing on paths, on rails, basically, because we're not going to be able to dress it, and we're not going to be able to create, you know, optimize it well enough.
It worked for Fable, so, I mean, you know.
Yeah, well, you know, you could do these things. So, I mean, it's worked for a lot of games. Worked for historically, it was great. But about the time that we sort of had everything set up, like the world, we had it, the beginnings of it created, Unity really started looking like it could make an open world. You know, we've been watching it for a couple of years. We're like, and this is like maybe Unity 3.0 or something. Like, I think maybe it's going to be okay. Like it might work, you know? And so we switched to Unity, and that's what we have launched on eventually. But yeah, no, we were in everything from like the early the 2D prototypes were in things like Flash and what's that? Torque. Use Torque for some.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
And right, like I think Gamebryo. Anyways, a lot
okay.
Of, I have folders of junk.
So now Walden's available on PC and PS4.
It's PC and Mac at itch.io. And it's available for PS4 on the PSN.
Nice. Wow.
Have you been contacted by Limited Run yet for a physical release on PS4?
Yeah,
the first one.
They actually require that you be on Steam.
Really?
Oh,
we're not on Steam.
Really? I had no idea about
that
that.
was a requirement.
I looked at their. I don't know. Maybe they make an exception, but I looked at their site. They sent somebody. I don't know if it was them or somebody sent me something saying, "Hey, you should look at this," and I did. And there was this whole thing about you being on Steam, so which is just an assumption on their part.
Okay.
And we had some trouble getting an agreement with Steam because of the university. And Itch was so great. They're so great to work with that and also Itch doesn't require users to have their client. And so our users are super broad. And we give away copies of the game to teachers. And I'm just going to say 100% of those people don't understand, aren't on Steam.
Right.
Maybe 99%.
Is it on fire? No.
Yeah, exactly. It's on fire. It's steaming. But so on Itch, you can just download the zip file. You can use their client, and that'll be great because then it updates automatically when you just like Steam, which is great. But if you don't, if you're just a person who just wants the game, the super cool thing is you just get it. Just get exactly what you want. You don't have to mess around with any kind of heavy front end stuff for gamers.
Okay.
But yeah, we just launched on PlayStation, which we're super excited about too, because now we have trophies and all the cool stuff.
What about those trophies?
I mean, seriously, we have trophies for civil disobedience if you go to jail, and if you don't pay your taxes. We have trophies for surveying the pond, and we have all these crazy trophies. It's really funny.
Oh, I'm thinking about like maximum appreciation. You hit 100% appreciation.
Well, we have one for my favorite is actually Walden Millionaire. So you don't have to play the game like Thoreau, right? You can play the game any way you want to, and in fact, I think sometimes people figure out more about what he was saying by playing against him, right? And one of the things you can do is you can make money. You can do odd jobs. You can become a surveyor. You can write articles and send them away and become a famous author and do lectures, and you can make a lot of money. And if you make $100, which back then was a lot of money in the game, then you get the trophy for Walden Millionaire.
Very cool.
It's fun.
Fill the pond with pennies until it doesn't exist anymore.
Well, and that's part of the idea is that you can do those things. But what happens is the way the game reacts to you is if you spend all your time working and not going out and finding that balance I was talking about, not sort of seeking out all the little beautiful things in the woods, then the world actually, the color fades away and the music fades away, and it just becomes this sort of dull grind that you're doing. You're just grinding away. So you can do all those things I was saying. You can become a Walden Millionaire. You can make the money. You can level up your cabin, get all sorts of fancy stuff for it. But your world is going to look really drab. Exactly. You're going to be sort of, wishing for more. And so part of the idea is that you start to realize that if you play against him, play against what he would do, that's cool. It's totally cool. But then you'll be like, wait a minute. It's super boring, my life. My life is boring, right? I'm going to go out, rowing on the pond and float around and look at the fish and maybe go fishing or, for some cool little there's a bunch of crazy little animals that you can discover and all sorts of little nooks and crannies in the woods. And so you got to invest in that. You got to say, oh, okay, wait a minute. Life's not just about working.
It's not.
What?
Well, yeah.
Got to appreciate harder.
Appreciate harder. That should be an achievement too.
Yeah. As we call it, the tagline of the game is "Play deliberately," right? Because he said he went to the woods to live deliberately.
Right.
I like appreciate harder though.
Appreciate hard. I don't know how you quantify it.
See, but like when I imagine somebody trying to do that, they're just firing on the button on the controller that much harder.
Yeah.
They're just like, I can't appreciate harder until I've pressed triangle 78,000 times in 4 minutes.
But you need.
That's a great. It's a great. When we were doing the design, we were like, how are we going to do this? How are these mechanics going to work, right?
Yeah, because how do you measure trying when it's just like energy and focus and
PS2 analog buttons. So
there are different answers in our version, but they mostly have to do with sort of in the vicinity of these special places or special sounds or special characters. So like the animals, or there are sort of these solitude spots that kind of fill you with inspiration. Or there are the sounds that he listened to in the distance. And if you are kind of in the place where you hear them coming, over long distances, then you'll get inspiration from those. There's a lot of different ways that we kind of worked on it, but they're not this, right?
Right. The thumb stays sane.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Have you guys played Life is Strange by any chance?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so the scenes where you just absorb and then you just hang out and listen to music, or you're just sort of like,
oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And when you choose to leave that scene, you that's when you press the button, you go, right?
You stay there. Like that's what the game ends for you. You just you appreciate that music.
Well, I'm just making a comparison. I think it's to me, it's kind of a I really enjoyed those scenes. I really enjoyed that idea, and it's very similar to what we tried to do in Walden, where we tried to make these places, sort of add to your inspiration, and you will start getting the feedback of that. You'll start getting that color and getting that music, and sort of seeing that your inspiration is kind of rising and feeling that, right? And then when you leave, the world starts to return to a little bit of normal again. But yeah, I just was making that comparison because I think I think that kind of mechanic is really interesting to me.
I think when I was speaking to you at the Smithsonian, I'd asked you about like a game over state, in terms of the survival aspect, and how much back and forth did you have even within yourself or people you're working with on how much of that you were going to allow to affect the gameplay? Did you want to be constantly there, like you're hungry, you're thirsty,
Exactly. I mean, so we knew from the beginning, one of the sort of design pillars that we set was that we wanted to minimize. We knew there was going to be work in the game. We knew there's going to be some sort of survival simulation, but we also knew that we wanted this sense as you walked around the world that if everything was in balance, we didn't want to be in your face. We didn't want the interface in your face. If you were playing right already, then you shouldn't be seeing anything on the screen. You should just be enjoying the world, right? So the way we worked it out is there are icons for your 4 basic needs: your food, fuel, shelter, and clothing, which are that Thoreau himself identifies. And those things you have to caretake. When they're in pretty good shape, you don't even see an icon for them. It's not until they actually start to, be in need that you start to see even the vague outline of the icon. And then if you don't pay any attention to them, they go red. If all 4 of those icons are up and they're red, you're going to be like dying. You'll be like, you can actually hear him like breathing, and failing essentially, right? But if you see that an icon is just barely coming, like say you need some food, right? You just go and pick some berries off a tree. It's going to disappear again. It's cool. It's all cool. And you can pick, and when your stores are full, when you pick and pick and pick, and all of a sudden the icon will flash green. And that's like as much as you can store. And we built in ways so that people who are serious about it, like really want to, kind of play hardcore on the survival sim, you can go to the store and you can buy food jars or, things that will help you store more food, more fuel, that will upgrade your house, like I mentioned. Little tech tree, essentially. that will allow you to min-max that survival sim, so that you could get everything to the point where you didn't have to search for food for like 3 days, right, in the game. And 3 days is a long time in our game, about 45 minutes. So, you know, once you sort of get the sense of the tech tree, you can find ways to just sort of set yourself up, say. And one of the reasons you might do that is you set yourself up at the beginning of winter, and then you don't have to work, you know, for a big chunk of the winter. But we also wanted it to be super open to people who weren't necessarily interested in that kind of, you know, min-max activity. So like I said, you know, as long as you just keep, you know, picking berries or picking up a little driftwood or chopping a little wood, when you see the icons for these, then you'll be fine. And when winter comes, it may be more difficult, but there's always a way to find what you need in the natural world. You just have to know a little bit more about the woods. So you have to know what berries or plants hang out through the winter, or where you can, you know, find driftwood or chopwood or things like that. And it's all there. Like, it's all actually there for you. Mm-hmm. if you figure it out before the harder months come.
Very cool. I am very interested.
Right.
So, but yeah.
I can hook you up with.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, Aaron, you were gonna say something?
I was gonna say there's a question in the chat from GameEnthus. He said, "I've always wanted to try game design. Can you ask Tracy what can I do to start? Any simple engines, or do I need to be a genius?"
A genius? No. Oh my God, I don't know any game design. Well, maybe.
Man, hot takes on game designers. I'm just
be a genius. Thank you for coming.
I don't know anyone that's a genius. No.
I mean, so here's the thing. One of the great things about game design, and I think one of the reasons everybody thinks that you're either game designer or not, is that we actually all start out in our lives as game designers. When we're kids, one of the most natural things we do, right, is we make up our own games. We take games that we're taught, and we mod the rules, and we make our own games. And that's a great place to start. So, you know, whether it's doing something on paper, which if you have no technical skills, you can absolutely just do without any technical skills. You can make paper prototypes. If you have some technical skills, you can make mods of games, right? Or you can, there's so many free engines out there that you can give a try. So it really depends on your level of skill in terms of the technical tools. I always tell people to start on paper, because that's where your ideas can be absolutely the most free. The minute you pick up a tool, you're going to make a game that fits into that tool. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of like the minute you're constrained by the materials you use. Exactly.
Kind of.
It's so weird how the mind works, right? The minute you open up a tool and you see what a tool can do, then your mind suddenly starts filling in ideas into what that tool can do. So that's why I have all my students start on paper. I mentioned I wrote a book, and it has tons and tons of exercises in it that are very non-technical. So you can check those out. And there's actually even a free sample up on the website. It's at gamedesignworkshop.com. So there's like a free chapter. And it has some exercises in it. So that's what I always recommend, is do little exercises, do them on paper. You can learn technology concurrently. And then once you get, really good at design, you get really good at technology, you can put the two together, and they won't necessarily have the strong influence on each other as if you were trying to learn the technology in the same project as when you're trying to do design, And I like to see people design from their own lives, because we have this weird thing in the industry where we're constantly looking at other games and designing we're like, oh, that was super successful, I'm gonna do something just like it, right? And I just feel like the best designs are often ones where people draw from their childhood or draw from their own experience, you know, where they really, or their own passions, like something that really spoke to them. And that's what's really exciting. I mean, I look at something like What Remains of Edith Finch, which is a game that I just adored, right? And Ian drew, it's not even in the game, but he drew on his experiences with the sublime, with feeling really small in a large natural space. And that was one of the earliest inspirations. I started thinking about all of this, these stories and how they might make you feel, like how the characters in each one of the stories of that game feels. So I just really think that when you look at your own life and allow it to guide you, that's the very best way of starting a design. Mm-hmm. I'm certain I didn't answer that person's question succinctly. Hopefully there was some little thing in there.
I think he was still curious about just some of the technical aspects. Yes, is a lot of coding, or do the engines make it easier? Make things easier now?
There's no question that there's a lot of coding. I mean, the engines do make it easier, and if you don't know how to code, a good place to start is something like Twine, for example, it's a mostly text-based engine, but requires virtually no coding, any understanding of coding. But you can be making your own game in like a half an hour, right? If you want to make a sophisticated game, like a first-person game of some kind, or a game that has sophisticated mechanics in it, there's no question you're going to have to code. But something like Unity, which we used, has a lot of things you can purchase, right? So if you don't know a lot of code, there are a lot of tools that you can get from the Unity store that can, again, help you get started. You don't necessarily need to know hardcore coding, right away. If you're going to ship a game, I will tell you this: you have to know how to code at some point or another. If you want to ship,
you will have to write some code at some point.
You're going to have to write some code at some point.
Oh man,
it's a thing.
It is a thing.
And it's a great thing to learn too, right? Because even if you don't wind up making games, it's such a great literacy to have, and there are so many jobs you can get. So you should do it anyways, just because.
All right.
Is there a way that I can see the chat, or you just see the chat?
If you go to twitch.tv/GameEnthus.
Oh, okay.
You can actually see it on the...
I'm going to not do that because I don't want to. I don't want to mess up. I don't want to disappear from... So
gotcha.
Should have mentioned that.
That's cool. No worries. No worries.
I cheat. I have because we're streaming to YouTube, Twitch, and a Mixer all at the same time. So there's a little app I use. I can see all three just on one little window.
Look at you! Wow.
Yeah, we divide the audience across 3 platforms.
Yeah.
No wonder it was so hard to get set up.
Planning.
All right.
All right. I just had one last question. What about your job and teaching? What is the most okay, actually 2 questions. What is the most difficult part? Oh, also GameEnthus said thank you for the help, by the way.
Oh, okay. Yeah, good luck. Good luck.
What is the most difficult thing to teach your students, and what's the thing that you thought would be the most difficult that often is not? In terms of concepts or...
It's changed. It's interesting. So in all the years that I've been teaching, early on, just the idea that we were going to, that the design process was about understanding systems and learning how to design systems, and the idea that we needed to have systems literacy, and that, part of your job as a designer was to play a lot of games and to spend time not just playing them, but analyzing how their systems work. Like, what is this, how does this tech tree work? Why does they choose to do it this way? How does this, inventory system work? Like, the choices that other designers made and growing your systems literacy, so that when you make choices for your players, you're not just copying, but you're really making good judgment calls, right? And so early on, that was the thing. People didn't have good systems literacy, and it was hard to start from scratch on that. But nowadays, what's interesting, I find, is that there's so much more access to so many games. People are just have crazy access, that the students come in and they've usually, I don't know, they've read like my book and like 12 other books on game design, and they know that they have a game journal, and they've analyzed all these games, and they may even have like a blog where they're like talking about, games and analyzing them or whatever. I mean, people are already doing these things, and because of the tools we were just talking about, they may have already made 12 games before they come to school, right? So the interesting thing to me is what's hard now is not getting people ramped up on systems literacy and design literacy. What's hard now is breaking people out of their assumptions about the limits of game design. And what I mean by that is, when you're going to practice any kind of creative art, one of the things you need to have is, I think, a feeling that art is limitless, that there are no edges to what we can make with games. And that's how you become the next generation. You don't want to come and go to game design school and learn how to design games from the last generation. That is not what you want. What you want to come to game school for is, you want to create a foundation, and you want to develop yourself as a creative artist and a developer. And you want to be able to go out into the world and become the next generation of people who are going to push the whole form forward, right? And so in order to do that, you can't just be looking backwards. You have to be looking at, what are the horizons? What are the possibilities, right? And so getting people into that mindset it's the most fun part of my job, but it is the hardest part of my job, right? Because we're always constraining ourselves, like we talked about before. It's constraining ourselves makes life easier. And as a creative, artist, as a media maker, one of the things you need to do is find ways to, constrain yourself just right, but not so much that you don't make something brand new, right? You really, really, really want to make something that's interesting and new.
That's an interesting balance to find, but not so new that no one else gets it, new enough that it can be absorbed.
Not so new that it's like, whoa, what is that, right? But right at the moment. You want to be right there at the moment. I'll give you an example. So I mentioned that game company, and what's interesting about their first game, well, they made games in school, but the first one that got a lot of attention, Flow, was Genova Chen's thesis project. And he was, he's thinking about the theory of flow, which we all know about, this notion that games have to get provide more challenge as we get more expertise. And there's this sort of flow that you get into if the challenge rises just as the expertise rises, so that we can keep players right in that sort of where they're challenged just enough, right? And so he started investigating these theories that lead to flow, and he started making this game Flow. And he made a little Flash game and put online, and like 2 million people played it, right? And I mean, it was just crazy. So many people played it. And just at that time, Sony had a secret project. And if you can imagine the days, their secret project was the PSN. And they hadn't announced it, and it was going to be associated with the launch of the PS3. And they didn't have anybody developing any games for it, because all the AAA developers were developing their big, franchises for PS3. But, they're going to come on disc, just like they always did.
Yeah, traditional.
And there weren't any small teams at that point that were set up to develop for a console a small game that could be downloadable, and that would be not a big AAA game, but would be like a sort of small but console-ish game, right? So there was this hole. And through a lot of different pieces of people knowing people and talking, we were able to make a connection where this little Flash game became the basis for one of the first downloadable experimental games, right? And it filled that niche at that particular moment. And being ready for that, and we knew, but not so out there, because we knew that at least too many people want to play it, right? To me, that's how you do innovation. You basically have something that's looking forward moment when there's an opportunity for something of that size and that scope and that kind of level of articulation. And so that set those guys up to do a series of games. And I always find it interesting because kids come in and they pitch their ideas, and usually their ideas are basically, I'm going to make a version of the last game that I loved, right? So whatever that game was, I want to make my own version of Fortnite or whatever, right? And it's impossible. You're just like, okay, you don't need to make that. That's already exists in the world. What you need to do is look about what's next. Look at what is going to be the next hole that needs to be filled, the next interesting possibility, and what can you bring that is so unique that only you can bring it. So anyways, it's a tough thing, sure. But I think that's what's so great about games, is that we haven't even scratched the surface of the possibilities of what they can do.
Yeah, and as you were saying all that, I'm thinking that's one of the most difficult things that any potential game designer can come across. Like in the earliest days of me trying to do anything, exactly as you stated, it was me trying to program a really, really bad version of some of my favorite games at the time.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
and that's all I was able to ever do. And that's really why I abandoned the concept of programming. I just walked away from it whole cloth, because I knew I was never going to be able to do anything that was like worthwhile. But for people to like,
so sad. I mean, so sad, because I think you should.
No. I found happiness elsewhere. Like, believe me, I realized that my dream was in a different vector altogether. Like,
okay.
Like it was, I needed to see that like sludge before I could walk away and go, oh no, this is not for me. This is for someone else. But trying to find that thing that, because it's so natural to say, I love Super Mario Brothers, so I want to make Gianna Sisters.
You made Gianna Sisters?
But sometimes you need to find something that's super unique, and that is ridiculously difficult to find within yourself, and then still be able to make something really enjoyable out of it. That's like the creme de la creme, and that's why, if you can achieve, even if it's not like something that's a million seller, if you can find something within all of that and come out with a game that's unique, enjoyable, and gives an experience that's different but still really engaging, that's magic.
It's magic, and it's hard.
It's super hard.
So hard. I will say this to the folks who love games and then want to recode them, like, you know, make your own version of Super Mario. We do actually do some of that. I just want to have one little caveat there.
We do have to steal a little bit.
Yeah, we remake games in our coding classes because it helps people see how would you have made this. It sort of divorces it from the difficult problems of design. If you're just one of the assignments you do is just remake a favorite game, and you basically are analyzing it from a technical point of view, right? Okay, what would I need to do to make this happen, right? And I'm not trying to design something new at that point. I'm just trying to learn how games are put together in that assignment, right? And there's a super high value to that exercise and that kind of work, you know, which is, so I just want to, if anyone's out there coding their own versions of their favorite games and they're suddenly put off by, I'm like, no, wait a minute. Just think of it as an exercise.
Right. Don't release that as a game on Steam.
No, exactly. But it's a great exercise, right? Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm not going to make Super Walden then. I guess I'll hold off on that for a little while longer.
Yeah, that would be tough.
It would be tough.
Yeah, Super Walden. We would joke for a while about doing, speed runs in Walden.
Appreciate the fastest possible.
Okay, I'm appreciate. Okay,
appreciate harder.
It's just not really possible.
Right. Yeah, because it's really the antithesis of what you're trying to teach is like you can't appreciate everything throughout an entire lifetime within a 1 hour period.
Well, it is kind of funny because one of the
games, Mike.
Oh, no, Sonic games are good. But one of the things that's funny is in the game, there's this to-do list that fills up and it can get really long. And I sometimes like to watch people, and there are some people who go in and they're just trying to do everything on the to-do list. And part of the thing of the game is to realize at a certain point that, oh my God, I can never do everything on this to-do list. I can never do all these quests. I can never do all this stuff that people are asking me to do. I have got to just chill out and enjoy the woods, you know?
Right.
But it is funny to watch people go through that process and say,
people need to learn that there is no spoon at some point.
Yeah, there's
right. But yeah, I mean, and that's it. Like the stop and smell the roses. That's exactly what that phrase is trying to convey.
Indeed.
It's not all about just crossing things off of a list. It's
I guess we better do smell. We should do the smell version of Walden.
Scratch and sniff.
What's that about smell-o-vision from? Was that the 80s and they did that?
Yeah.
That's another word from.
I never smelled anything.
They have VR smell-o-vision though now.
Do they?
Oh. Yeah, I've seen.
How does that work?
There's a little attachment.
Like a home VR version of that?
I think it's pretty specialized.
Oh, okay.
So what is the input to deliver the olfactory sense?
Well, it's like a cartridge, and the way that the smell-o-vision technology works is it uses, these cartridges to combine chemicals that make particular smells. And so you say, oh, I want the smell of, I can only think of bad examples right now.
Well, how about flowers?
Okay, flowers. There you go. Scrambled eggs or whatever it is,
sand, like in Journey.
Yeah.
Sand.
The smell of sand.
Water, stuff like that. So they do have this. You put it on, and it's got this little cartridge under here, and the code is actually sand. I looked at it because I was sort of fascinated.
I would be too.
That sounds pretty early. Like maybe in 100 years that's going to be perfected, but for the moment it seems like Bane from the
part of
Batman movie.
The smells that you can make are probably not great things.
Well, see, that's the problem. See, AAA gets their hands on it, and then they're selling you stickers that smell. You have to keep buying them.
Yeah, well, I mean, this has been at E3 for easily a decade, if not two. Like
that long.
They've had this BS there.
I was gonna say they've been battling that with Axe body spray for 10 years now.
Right next to the plastic guitars. So
no one won. It was a battle of attrition.
Oh my goodness.
Last year's winner.
Well,
this year's.
I kind of have to roll, guys.
Okay. Well,
I appreciate, the chance to come on and say hello.
It's great talking to you.
It was fun. Yeah, it was fun to have you.
Yeah, I have no idea how to get out of this thing. So
if you roll, if you roll,
it's just like the interface is so crazy. Oh, wait a minute, I found it.
Okay, yeah. If you roll over the pictures, you'll see this.
You can always just pull the cord out of the wall.
That works.
Alt F4, Discord dead.
All right. Well, thanks so much for having me, and
thank you for joining us.
Have fun going swimming and fighting microorganisms, all that stuff. It's really great. And I hope to see you again around one of these days.
Okay, I have all your information and links to your books, everything in the show notes. So.
All right, cool. Okay, take care.
Have a good night.
Bye.
All right, and then there's just Tiny.
Hey.
Yeah, that's one of the issues. When there's 3 people, it just kind of morphs into like, hey, we're gonna spread
this is the first time I've ever seen this screen. Every other time we've done this, it's just been I see whoever's talking and that's it. But now I see the whole grid.
Yep.
Well, I mean, that's just if you right click, you can make it focus on people. Versus
I don't know. I left the channel earlier without even knowing what I did. Took me a while to figure out how to get back.
We noticed you left.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is different than Skype. You know, it's a new adventure.
This is definitely different, and getting this picture to look halfway decent again is,
It's storming outside, so we'll see what happens for my ability to stay connected.
All right. Well,
I have faith.
You may as well start talking about what you've been up to as of late, since you are talking.
Yeah, I as far as something interesting for the show, the best I could come up with is we were at Too Many Games, like what is it?
Like a month ago?
Month and a half ago.
Month and a half ago.
But no, hold on. I'm leading into something here. Somebody at the show was selling PVMs. And there was a discussion about acquiring some PVMs. And we missed our opportunity to walk away with some PVMs at the show. For anybody who doesn't know, PVM, they're professional grade CRTs. Yes. So they're kind of like the preferred method of playing old school games prior to the high definition era. I never really looked into it much, but there's a scenario where it makes some sense to have a high quality CRT in this house now. And I already had, I had one, and I had another one waiting at my parents' house, a 27-inch, like pretty good Toshiba, like flat screen with component and S-video and everything. But it's also kind of big for what I got. So I started kind of looking into what is the deal with PVMs? Like, I know they're like 5 or so years ago, you could have gotten one probably for free. Now, not so much at all.
Yeah, not everybody.
The deal is there's plenty of them that are like, I'm gonna just call it reasonably priced in the roughly $100 range on eBay and so forth. Turns out the ones that are really affordable don't have component or S-video or anything. It's just a composite input, end of story, 14-inch, 10-inch, whatever. I don't want to pay money for that stuff. That seems like a complete joke. Like, you can get nonsense from Goodwill for a better price than that and have it be pretty good. So I'm not chasing that particular end of the spectrum. But yeah, like there's still not a great scenario for playing the old games that look best on a CRT on modern TV. You can get the frame meisters, you can get whatever upscalers, you can get all sorts of cables that upscale, whatever. But it's not quite the same. You know, and the retrons and all that stuff, they're limiting in what they can do. I really, more than anything, I want to be able to play the actual physical hardware on a screen that makes it look as clear as you could expect for the era. So, for instance, playing an NES, I don't want to play that over RF on a CRT. I want to play that on, you know, a standard yellow RCA AV cable plugged into my TV. And that's all I like. I don't need it to I don't need to see every pixel. Like it's all about making it look as good as you could expect at the time, and just eliminating some unnecessary grain or fuzz or buzzing noises or whatever. Just make it look, you know, as good as you could expect at the time, and that's really all I want. So I think I'm still pretty much good with just like a regular CRT television, as long as it has the inputs that I'm looking for. So I think the PVM idea has really kind of passed me by as far as my interest level, but I was looking into it.
So you're saying there's a PVM that either Aaron or I can take from your house when we see?
No. I didn't buy anything. I'm not going to buy anything.
Wait, I thought there was one waiting at your parents' house.
No, that's just like a standard 27-inch CRT.
I don't need another one of those.
No, you've got a couple of them. It's all good. And as long as I've got the space, if I got the geometry's not perfect. If anybody knows the deal with CRTs, that's the way they work. But I can live with it. It's fine. And then I've got my sound system for the audio of it.
I know this is unrealistic to ask, but have you watched today's episode in My Life in Gaming where they talk about?
I watched every minute of that thing.
Doing on 4K. Well, so there's some interesting pieces with 4K that you can't get with 1080p, even with the older consoles, because 4K or whatever 3840 technically is a multiple of 240, or is it 240? Yeah. You can do it like a 5x multiplier.
240p is what like SNES output too.
Instead of what you see from like 1080, you can't get you can't get a perfect multiplier for it and fill the screen. So there's actually some real good information. Now, granted, they run everything through not the FrameMeister, but what's the open source scan converter?
OSSC.
The OSSC, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which will have some, like, I think they're running everything through a SCART switcher, and then that might not, that sounds like it's a little beyond what you're looking to do.
Right. Like, I'm not looking for perfection. I just want something.
I was going to say, some of the stuff that he showed off, like, he was just using some of the tools that were on his TV for like for the digital zoom, and it's real. I think you'd really
My Life in Gaming.
Yeah, My Life in Gaming.
Right, I'll check the video out and see if it makes some sense, because 4K TLC televisions is what I'm all about at this stage.
Yeah, it's going to require, once I get a 4K TV, it's going to require a major investment of. I gotta go to Monoprice and get all new wire. I get a whole bunch of stuff.
High speed HDMI.
I built up everything up until the television. So when I got the TV, I was ready to roll, and I feel like that was the perfect way of doing it, because all these like the PS4 Pro, the X, like you still get something out of it. So getting it first is still a viable option. But then when you get that TV and you plug it all in, it's all, I got everything now, man. It's the
good. Capturing that's going to kill me, though. I mean, it's all the stuff I'm going to have to do in order to capture.
Well, just don't worry about that. Throw it all in the trash.
I'll do that, yeah. I'm going to write that down. Throw it in the trash.
Throw it all away. But anyway,
set the charges and blow it all to hell.
If you watch their RGB 106 video today,
I'll take a look at it. And see
if you have not, just for people listening, if you have not seen My Life in Gaming, I'm a fan. Like they format it kind of like college courses. Like they try to do numbered sessions talking about like the different, like, hey, how can you get the best picture out of an N64?
I mean, they really take the time to get into like the nitty gritty, and that's important if you're going to be doing. I'm not doing anywhere near as far as what they do, but
yeah,
it's still very interesting how they get everything all set up.
So, and yeah, SCART is a European.
Yeah,
European video standard.
I am not like, if I wanted to see the sharpest image possible with all the games, I'd just run it all on emulation.
Right.
And say that there you go. I've got it. It's right on my monitor. It's high res, everything. I see every pixel. That's fine. I like the concept with the CRT of giving that slight blur, that almost roundedness to everything. It gives it that look that I want, because that's what I grew up with.
Right. It's also how they intended it for at least a chunk of it. Like,
but I'm also happy to eliminate unnecessary fuzz or buzzing noises on the audio channels and everything. That stuff just sucks. Like, nobody should have to endure that nowadays.
Definitely. Yeah, check out their stuff. I think you'll. I don't know. I don't necessarily think you're gonna go make all the investments they're talking about, but
no.
It's definitely.
I've made most of the investments that I'm interested in making at this point. But yeah, I'll take a look at it.
Sorry, someone's asking for suggestions where to eat in Vegas, and I'm like, yo, let me tell you.
That sounds like tiny territory to me.
Let me tell you about the Wicked Spoon. Anyway,
Tiny, what other than Vegas ideas, what have you been doing lately?
So I was at PsychoCon, which now Aaron knows how to spell it and realizes that.
Because that's not like I thought it was a bunch of people running around in wigs and shawls with knives. I mean, how was I supposed to know?
So, anyway, so we were there all weekend. I mean, the event seemed to go well. And I mean, there was a lot of anime. But I guess that's normal for anime conventions. So we were there. We did the extra life. Yeah, we did the extra life stuff. Signed up 7 and something people.
So how many?
70 something.
Oh, you're showing off. All right.
Just calling the closer. So anyway, so we did that. And I was there Friday and Sunday. And aside from that, I finally saw Ready Player One on Blu-ray. I don't remember the book pretty much at all. And the parts I do remember, I'm pretty actually sure I'm remembering like Neuromancer or other like science fiction books. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
To, like, turn off your brain for some of the parts. And like there are things that I did like when they started calling them the high five at the end, and I'm like, whoa, we didn't actually introduce why they're called the high five, but okay. Yeah, like you don't explain it. Now, granted, it's because they were the top 5 people on the leaderboard, but like they just started calling them that, and I'm sure there's a scene where they explain it and they just cut it. But I feel like I want to watch that movie. Watching it in watching it in 1080p, like I feel like it was real busy at points. That like maybe if I was watching it at a higher resolution, I could like. I don't feel like I could pick out characters, and some of that's like, okay, you're focused on the people talking or whatever, so the characters in the background are blurred. But like it just, I don't know, some points. But like I feel like I could pause that movie at any point and just start like, yo, why are there so many characters from Battleborn in this? Like, how did Battleborn survive to 2042?
Who was still playing it?
Like, who was like, this is who I should have as my eye?
You know, what choice did they have? Game that just said, I hate to be that guy, but the book was better.
I need to reread the book.
Yes and no. Like, I think the ending of the movie was just better and much more succinct. Like, to me, the book just, it ripped off another property for, like, the last quarter of it. So it's like, I think the movie was better because they couldn't do that. But in terms of explaining things, yes, the book was better because most books are better. Because
you just have the time to go into detail and whatnot. That, like, Harry Potter stopped going to class after the 3rd movie. It's weird because it takes place inside a school. So anyway, I mean, I enjoyed it. Like all of these movies are like turn your brain off because we're going to talk about The Quiet Place in a Quiet Place in a moment.
Did we talk about that last week?
Are we? Because
I watched.
Mike still hasn't seen it, right?
No. Well, yeah, I mean, yes.
Well, I'm not going to go into detail, but
no, it's fine because my ability to watch it expired, so I am not going to watch it. Spoil it all you like. I saw the beginning and the end.
Well, okay, you saw the beginning. Who was running these printing presses and then distributing these newspapers with all of this detail?
I don't know. Somebody
ask those questions.
Like
somebody can do that silently, I guess. I don't know.
Like who is doing and it's like day 89 or whatever, and the guy's like finding newspapers he hasn't seen. And I'm like, how? Anyway, whatever. There are a lot of things. I feel like I enjoyed that movie. I enjoyed a lot of that movie, but the ending is super weird because it's kind of like.
Wait, you don't have to say because. It's just super weird.
It's like. Did any of you read World War Z the book? Not see the Brad Pitt movie?
No. I saw the movie though.
Okay, in the book, they make they're like, oh, hey, the military engaged the zombies, but the military had gone to most of the technology that the military deployed because they were fighting U.S. citizens was like ways to disable. And hey, they're zombies; they don't care about being disabled, and they chew through like the platoon you see, or read about in the book.
I'm pretty sure the army can come up with ways of adjusting to just obliterating people who aren't people anymore.
And that's the thing. But like, there's just some stuff that happens at the end of that movie, and I'm like, we learned about this type of like. Anyway, I'm not gonna spoil it because like it's only been on demand for like 3 weeks or something. But like, Spider-Man taught us some ways to take care of aliens, and we probably should use them. But yeah, I mean, I both of them.
With great sound comes great responsibility.
It's just they're literally like these are aliens drawn by sound. I don't think that's a spoiler. I hope it's not. I don't know.
The alien part, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever's killing people. I don't actually know they're aliens.
The graboids.
I thought you do find that on the first like 10 minutes. They're like, it can't, like literally one of the newspapers says it's like came from space. So anyway, or maybe they came from a fissure in the middle of the Pacific. I don't know. But anyway, like it's a Pacific Rim reference.
Well, right. It's a spin-off of the Pacific Rim.
So anyway, like, hey, why? Like, they are super sensitive. Like that's how they're targeting or whatnot. And like, what we didn't think like, man, maybe we should really think about that. So anyway, it's
them into something. But whatever.
It's super like it's. I don't know. It's super weird. There was one other movie I saw actually. Now that I think about it, because there was. What was the third one I saw? I saw. I'm pulling up Twitter because I know I made some snarky comment about it. I don't. I guess it's not that important. Something about like this movie would have been a lot. What was it? I forget. If they could see. No, see, I'm working it through in my head.
The game that's getting on you.
Ooh, it's like a pitch black tie-in where one movie is all about don't look at him, and the other is all about don't listen.
No,
or make any sound.
It's not. I turned my brain off for The Quiet Place until they're like, you know who discovered how to kill the aliens? This family on a farm. Like
okay, yeah. It's like Signs, you know.
which was all they came to a planet that's 90% water or whatever.
Oh, the water!
It regularly rains. Water falls from the sky, and they were like, "This is a planet we should be on."
We're in the right place.
Check this out.
You know what? Unpack that box. We're right here.
It's just like, and again, I enjoyed A Quiet Place, but I watched them like, there's got to be more than this. Like, someone had to have tried this before. Anyway, there's something else I forget what I watched, but like, felt like if they had a thermal camera, because it was like, they kept, I wish I remembered. Like, they kept getting attacked by some monster. And I'm like, if you just had something that like let you see heat, I'm pretty sure that monster couldn't hide anymore. But I forget what that is. Actually, I will bring up one more thing. I don't think I brought this up last week. Have either of you watched any of the WoW ads for Battle of Azeroth that's coming up?
As in World of Warcraft, WoW?
Yes. Yeah, World of Warcraft.
I've never played that game, and I've never paid any attention to it.
I installed it, but never played it.
Oh, you know what? Well, I know what I was going to say. Well, and that's fine. You didn't, but okay. So there's some they made a change. So if you subscribe right now, or if you start subscribing or whatever, you can access all the content, like all the previous expansions. But there's a new expansion coming out, I think sometime in August. And they keep doing these commercials about like these two people that like they just can't like each other because they're from either the Horde, which is like the orcs and Tauren and everything, and WoW, or the Alliance, which is the humans and dwarves and that kind of stuff. And they're like, it matters, and they're just funny commercials to watch because it's like this guy gets on a bus and he can either sit next to this huge guy that's giving himself his own tattoo on the bus, which is super weird. Like, who does this? Yeah. Or you can sit next to this free seat next to this cute woman, and you see her close her laptop, and there's an Alliance symbol on it. So he has a Horde symbol on his backpack, so he goes and sits next to the big guy. And they're like, it matter. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm having fun with this. By the way, the movie I was trying to think of, Rampage, would have been a much easier movie if they had just had like thermal scopes. Like, the wolf,
like if they had pre-ordered one of the special editions of Call of Duty over the last 10 years.
Like, this wolf kept sneaking up on people and whatnot, and like, it's a giant 30-foot wolf.
It really was.
We could probably track this on something. Like, this shouldn't, like, it actually, that's another movie where like it just tears through the military for like the fun of it.
It's a movie called Rampage. They weren't hiding that it was stupid.
No, they really weren't.
They were. I enjoyed that movie more than I think I expected.
I said the same exact thing. It's so dumb, but like it just hit the right notes. I'm like, yeah, that's stupid, but I'm okay with this.
It's like The Rock just suddenly mutates and is able to do new skills because that's what's required at that moment. He is a zoologist, former Marine, deep sea diver,
anyway, animal husbandry.
Yeah, also able to fly any vehicle that they bring to him, like able to fly it. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. I watched a couple movies, I guess over the time recently. Again, I both of them I think were good movies. I actually own now Ready Player One on Blu-ray because my friend wanted to watch it. I was like, yeah, you know what? It's $20 or whatever. I'm gonna pick it up so that I can have it.
But money spent.
Yeah, I mean, it is really crazy. Like when people spend whatever they spend to go see a movie in the theater, and then when it comes to video, half the time it's just like, oh, if that's more than like $4, I'm not paying anything for that. But like if you and one other person are going to see it, like $20 is still cheaper than going to see it in the theater most of the time.
Yeah, I bought Avengers because I don't know.
Especially after the Movie Pass debacle, we're going to talk about Movie Pass.
All right.
Like, yo,
I'll shut my mouth and let the show commence so we can get to that faster.
Like, up our prices to $15. You're not allowed to go to you're not allowed to go to first run movies for most movies unless we have a deal with them in the first 2 weeks. Yeah, no, awesome Movie Pass. I am super looking forward to that AMC program.
I might just do cinema. That one is like
I haven't
3 or
even looked at that
4.
one
It's
yet.
like $15, but like you can see 3 movies a week.
I got a good idea.
What?
Don't sign up for any of that.
And that's
Just
probably what the
buy
answer's going to
tickets
be.
and go see movies whenever you want.
That's probably what my answer's going to be, because it.
I mean,
I don't know.
Seen Rampage if it was not for Movie Pass, because
See, I saw.
That's
Rampage.
okay. I'm gonna live, see another day. It's cool.
I mean,
no one cared about me until the movie discount. It's just, you know.
I mean, I don't know. The most I've seen movies in theater was actually the weekend of Too Many Games, so that would have been great that weekend. But aside from it, like, I'm not seeing more than one movie in a weekend.
Yeah.
It's the summer, so I'm always seeing something. Like, it's summer.
I mean, I want to see Meg, but MoviePass has already literally said they're not going to be able to support it. So, and I want to see Meg.
You might have to pay full price.
I'm not going to see it. Then.
Oh, man. Oh, no, I'm going to see it. Meg is going to be a dumb movie. Let me. The
Look,
books.
I don't know what your whole theaters have, but our closest theater, and it's a very nice theater, first run and everything, every Tuesday, with mild exceptions like DC hero movies.
It's an AMC theater, I guess. $5.
No, it's a chain, but it's like a really small chain, so they don't they never participated in Movie Pass at all.
You don't even want to tell us the name of the chain. Is that like what is the name of this chain?
It's called Frank Theaters. I don't know, but you're like literally about to fall on the floor. But anyway,
Frank.
But every Tuesday, all the movies are $6, no matter when you go see them. So it's like, but there's oddball exceptions. Like when Batman versus Superman came out, they were like, "Oh, that doesn't. We're not participating. That's not part of the $6."
No one saw it. It was like nobody cared.
Yeah, because they knew. See it now, or you're not going to pay money of any kind to see this. So, we haven't run into anything since then, but we just don't go to the theater that often.
I was gonna say, like,
I really like one.
My problem with that idea is that requires me to go to the theater on a Tuesday, and I don't really feel like doing that.
Well, that's fine. I mean, listen. When the first Transformers Michael Bay movie came out, I knew I wasn't going to wait in line or anything, so I drove down. I drove 20 minutes south to the theater to see the very first Saturday morning showing of that movie. And I thought about that the other day, thinking, yeah, I remember doing that and feeling really proud that I got down to that theater in record time because it was super early on a Saturday and it wasn't crowded and it was great and everything. And that entire franchise was like a burning field of wheat. So I didn't need to see any of it. And I probably would have been better off not seeing a single one of them.
So you're not excited about the Bumblebee solo movie then?
Hell no.
I don't know why they're making
unless they completely tear that franchise down, I will never watch another Transformers movie in the theater.
Yeah,
whatever the last one was, I haven't seen it yet. I might someday if it's on cable or if I get a free whatever. I don't care. But like that version of Transformers does not interest me anymore.
It probably never.
And I love my Transformers, just not those Transformers. Let it go. Anyway, what were you talking about? Movie Pass?
I was just gonna they're plan to save the company
shocking. They're not doing well.
Is a strong. I just like my favorite part was the line of BS that they spun of this is what we're doing this for is to push it to more independent creative movies and blah blah blah.
Well, if they say because that's all we can afford to do at this stage.
Yep.
Watch movies that have been around for 3 to 4 weeks.
Oh, GameEnthus asked, do we still like going to the theater, or we prefer day one streaming of new films? I like both. I like going to the movie theater because the one thing is, if I go to the movie theater, I'm not going to be distracted by anything. I mean, I'm watching the movie. I'm in a dark room.
Yeah, I'm not.
I paid for it.
I don't have my
whatever.
phone out.
Yeah, I'm going to watch this thing.
But
if I'm home,
all the other people that are creating distractions who just whip their phone out for no reason in the middle of the movie, right in front of you.
I mean, I don't know. I think there's also value in the group.
Crap.
Oh, like, yeah, no. I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Any of the Marvel movies, I've loved seeing in the theater because, like, there's an excitement. Now, granted, I'm seeing it like opening night traditionally.
Yeah, there's an energy.
There's an energy to it. Like, people are excited. Like, cool. Like, it's a group experience. When I saw Blair Witch Project, that's how long ago we're gonna go back. And the speakers broke on one side, so every time they'd be like, "Can you hear that?" Like, literally, the audience started doing like a call and response thing, which was fun. Which is the only thing that saved that movie. So
you ever seen a movie where they crop it incorrectly and you can see the boom mics?
I mean, I've seen boom mics come into scenes before,
like unintentionally.
Yes.
Because it's just like a thing that some theaters like have cuts of movies that are just like improperly like overlaid or whatever, and you can see the boom mics at the top, and it's it turns it into an automatic comedy no matter how stupid the movie is. The only time I've ever seen this in person was The Happening. And the movie is already terrible.
Oh, that movie's so...
When you add swinging boom mics to the top of that movie, it is an automatic comedy.
You don't take her hand unless you mean it.
That whole thing with the hot dogs. I
really like hot dogs. Hot dogs are the perfect meal. I mean, think about it. It's cylindrical. I think I watched it semi-recently.
I stared at that screen going... Are they expecting us to believe this is a movie? I really don't understand what's happening here.
And Mark Wahlberg, he was just so horrible in that movie.
Everyone just stared at the camera because they were all in disbelief that this was a movie.
They had to run from wind. Like, they ran from wind. What was the... Like, at least Jake Gyllenhaal went on in The Day After Tomorrow was like, "Oh, ICE is chasing us 3 separate times."
Yeah. I don't know. The Happening was like plants farted and everyone died. It's okay.
It's pretty bad.
I get it. Oh, also, you like hot dogs for no reason? That had nothing to do with this movie whatsoever, but I'm glad you told us all about that.
Hot dogs, perfect food. They're gonna... Anyway, so anyway, Aaron, yeah. What do you got?
I finally saw Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. I enjoyed it.
Newt
by choice?
Scamander. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the sequel.
Yeah,
I was kind of curious about what happened to a particular character since we kind of met him but didn't. I don't know if that's going to be an element of the next movie, but
I mean, the name of the movie includes that character. If that's what.
Well, okay, not that character, but
I was going to say, like, it's literally the crimes of Grindelwald or whatever.
Well, I don't mean him. I mean the the character that we thought we knew but never really knew because they.
I figured that was just a fake identity.
But okay.
That's why I figured.
Like, if you impersonate like Joe Schmo, nobody knows. If you impersonate like, somebody high up, that's a little different. It's like, well, how much time did you spend doing this?
But if you, I mean, this movie is actually older than any of the movies we've talked about so far. I mean. If he was in the context of World War II, there were definitely people that did this. This is the same. We're looking at World War I and World War II time frame. Like, he's a wizard Nazi, literally.
Wait.
Like
what? What?
Yeah. I thought
like,
you were gonna get into like a talented Mr. Ripley kind of thing, but
no, like he's literally a wizard Nazi. Like I don't think it's unrealistic that they've probably set up identities to hide across the sea.
Gotcha.
After they've been defeated, like there's that anyway. I know what you're talking about. Well, yeah, we'll have to see.
Yep. So yeah, I enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to that. Went to go see Teen Titans go to the movies. It was hilarious. The wife and I were falling asleep because we were just exhausted, but for the parts that we were awake for, it was very funny.
See, I'm surprised to hear that because my friend and his family reported back to me that they felt it was very for preteens, because both of their kids are teenagers. They felt that humor was preteen.
There's a lot of butt jokes and fart jokes, and it definitely has its share of that stuff. But it was fun. I mean, they really sort of do a good job just lampooning superhero fandom, all that kind of stuff.
Will not be lampooned.
And
then there was a teaser I heard.
Oh yeah. Should I just you want me to say with that? Okay, or no?
I'm good with it. I already know what the teaser is.
Well, it was kind of hinted that there's going to be a series that went away that it's going to be coming back. So I'm sure people were very pleased about. So
is it? Wait, and you know what? Never mind. I don't care. Never mind.
All right.
You know what? I'm good to say it. Yo, they're gonna bring back the original Cartoon Network Teen Titans series, is what they were saying, and that's awesome because that's the best version of Teen Titans.
Oh, that's fine.
Well,
I don't care.
It's a different show. Like Go is
so much better,
but it's a different audience. It's like a, it's a whole different thing.
Dude, when they announced a new season of the Clone Wars, I was like, what?
I have a lot of friends that are very excited about that.
I just read on Twitter that Alf is coming back. Anyway, go ahead.
I was seeing a lot of people on Twitter talking about Alf.
Are you serious?
Yes.
It is in development. Yeah.
That sounds like the worst idea I've ever heard.
It's up there. It really is. Like they've officially run out of ideas. Like that's
wow.
Well, I mean,
will Alf be CG too?
Since we're having this discussion, I also rewatched the Power Rangers movie. I enjoyed that movie more. I enjoyed it the first time.
I just wish they would have
the new one.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I just wish they would have maybe been the Power Rangers a little bit more
for longer in that movie. Yeah, that would have been
just a little bit.
But I rewatched it on Hulu, and it was.
Is it getting a sequel? Because it didn't really.
I don't believe. I don't believe. GameEnthus is responding no, and I'm thinking it's the Power Ranger.
I mean, that movie's all about Billy, man. All about Billy. And then some other people he was hanging out with.
Is it? Because it's a lot about Jason.
Well, yeah, but it's really about Billy, though.
See, it's really strange because before that movie came out, they had that weird YouTube video with a James Van Der Beek
and whatnot. I really enjoyed those.
And then the Uncharted movie is still coming out, but then there's the not authorized one from Nathan Fillion. And it's like, well,
what are we to believe?
Like, what benefits what with these kind of movies that come out? Like that James Van Der Beek weird, not authorized thing. That was kind of cool for someone that didn't care about Power Rangers ever.
Yeah, but that was also a very different, this is the future of Power Rangers, and we've killed off almost everyone in some real heinous ways.
Yeah, which is what made it interesting.
Understood, but I don't think just to put in perspective, I think Bandai is starting their 40th season of the Sentai, whatever Power Rangers is based off of. It's in my head. Anyway,
I forgot what it is.
It's the Kamen Riders and. Yeah. Anyway, the whole thing. So comments. Yeah. So like, I don't think they're like, and hey, let's actually just kill everything. Because, like, I don't know. Did either of you watch the, like, 2-minute teaser for Power Rangers, the Grid Corrupted?
No.
This is the one where Ryu becomes a Power Ranger from Street Fighter.
No, but
okay. So there's a Power Rangers game right now, like on phone, which apparently is relatively successful. And so they've been introducing like cross promotions. So like Ryu is a Power Ranger in this, and like if you watch the video, it's up on YouTube. I'll find it, and I'll give the link. But like, it starts off with like the Dragon Zord is like half submerged in the ocean or whatever. Like it looks like it got messed up. And Jason, whatever his name is, Jason Todd Davies or whatever, the guy who played the Green Ranger, is like the only one that's not been corrupted so far, because I guess he was corrupt. I have no idea why. It's interesting. Like apparently maybe there's a sequel coming. I don't know. Shattered Grid. There it is. But yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed Power Rangers.
I saw some pictures of I guess the cast for the new Terminator that you said that was coming out in 2019.
Yep, it is being made.
So they're gonna forget that Genesis ever happened, which makes sense.
Oh, Genesis Salvation and 3. This is a follow-up to Terminator 2. This is the only way possible where Sarah Connor is still alive, because in 3 she was literally a corpse.
Yeah. Well, was she? Because I thought in 3 her body was.
They punched through where her corpse was supposed to be and found a bunch of guns.
Yeah.
But she was clearly still dead, just buried somewhere else.
Dead. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, like I mean, this is the whole thing. James Cameron got the rights back. This is exactly how everything was set up. This was his ability to say anything that I didn't have a part of doesn't exist. Also, I'm not making this movie. I'm just giving my okay to it. Also, I gave my okay to Genesis, so that doesn't mean anything either.
Yeah. Well, GameEnthus
Tim Miller, go do whatever you're gonna do.
GameEnthus asking us, as bad as things have gotten with remakes, what would we like to see be remade? I don't know.
Masters of the Universe.
Like, well,
I think they're doing that
because Skeletor survived the end of that movie.
No, don't make a sequel to that movie, for the love of God.
Starring Dolph Lundgren and Courtney Cox.
Just make a new animated movie. Like He-Man cannot be anything other than animated and be taken seriously.
Yes. Unless you find a way to have a shirt.
He is a cartoon.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, She-Ra's getting remade, so that's good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and apparently dumbasses are upset because
people are up in arms. Yeah.
Not living up to their expectations in the way they want her to be, which is incredibly stupid.
Yep.
If you're upset over the way the new She-Ra looks, stop being upset about that and go do something productive with your life.
Well, you can dislike an art style.
Yeah.
Like there's the vitriol, I think, is really the answer.
The reason stated as to why a group is upset is not exactly cool.
Is it the
calm down and
sexy
realize
enough?
The cartoons are for children, and maybe children shouldn't necessarily have to have their cartoons over-sexualized.
Just maybe.
But that was the great thing about Starfire in the old Teen Titans series. Like, she wasn't, unlike Starfire is traditionally in the comic book series. So, anyway.
All right, so I'll move to this stuff quickly. There's a show on Netflix called Amazing Interiors. Wifey put me onto it. We just burned through the whole season because it was just, I don't know. It's a lot of fun to watch. People just have, and it's the only thing I don't like about it is everybody starts off with some variation of, you wouldn't know to look at my house on the outside, but inside, I really, it's so interesting. You're like, okay, like you hear that ad nauseum, especially if you're binge watching it. But outside of that, it was a really good show. I mean, it's only one season, I think 12 episodes.
Did it give you some ideas about how to rip down walls and start rearranging your insides?
No, but one guy
insides. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Your insides.
But one guy was collecting like horror movie memorabilia and all this stuff, and I knew not to do that, but yeah, it's interesting. One guy had a waterfall in the house, like underneath his bed, just stuff that's just.
Wait, what's the point of a water feature underneath a bed?
Because it's like a loft, so it just sort of just runs.
Okay, so like the bed looked like the source, and then
and he was just itching for water problems in the house.
Clearly, he can turn it off though. I mean, but then like his bathroom was like this like circular cut wall, no privacy. I mean, sort of privacy, but like not.
Yo, you just gotta be confident.
But it's the waterfall, right? That is the toilet.
Thank God, no.
Oh God, it's you flush and you. Oh God.
I mean, if I lived alone, I mean, who cares, right? Just this is.
I do like. I don't want to see the
this
waterfall
is the waterfall
/
urinal in my house.
Oh, you mean pee into? I thought you meant like you flushed and it like sent waste through some water.
Well, this is like say that.
Here's my waterfall. It's a gray water system.
There was one family, I think in Sweden, they had their house. They had like a log cabin that was inside a greenhouse. So they had their own vegetables and fruits and everything else. It's like growing around the house because it was in a greenhouse. But then they had it set up so their toilet water, their sewage would get like filtered in like the basement of the cabin and then brought back up to like feed, like to water the plants and stuff. So it was
a gray water system. Yeah, it's that sounds a little excessive, but
the lady said
not
like
that crazy.
The wife was like, yeah, at first I was not really wild about this concept, but once she got into more of it and saw how it really worked, she was like, it made sense to do. But first she was like, I was not sold on this.
Every time I flushed, I started thinking, free water for the plants. This is fantastic.
I love pool water, so yeah.
I'm gonna just say about this remake. I'd like to see a good Mario movie.
Just stop. Just you know what? You're always going too far.
So I'm just saying, I'd like to see a good Mario movie.
If it's good, I'll watch it.
Yeah,
I assume it's not going to be.
I mean, they can't.
In fact, I kind of assume they're just going to cancel it.
Well, they're working on a 3D one or like a animated one. I want to say.
But once they remember that Bob Hoskins is already dead, they're just going to cancel it anyway. So, wait, he's dead? You shut everything down. Shut it down.
No,
you don't know what about the power of Nintendo?
The sets have been burned already. It's too late. All right. In terms of feedback, Chaffee made a comment about Elaine's pronunciation of Lumines, because much like myself, I never heard the pronunciation Luminace, but I don't know how to pronounce the word.
I missed this last week. Luminace.
Yeah, it was.
I was late.
I was late. She said Luminace, and I asked her. I was like, I didn't ask her. I just said I've never heard that pronunciation before because I haven't. That might be the correct one. I don't know. It just was. I've never heard it. Just caught me off guard. Like,
I couldn't say definitively.
No, I can't either. So
I'm pretty sure it's not Lou Mines though.
But that's just dumb. I'm saying it anyway.
I'm gonna throw down my.
But when someone says Lou Mines, like I think they're talking about a person at that point.
Yeah, a dude named Lou. He's trapped in the mines.
A dude named Lou who uses gray water to for his cannabis. I don't know. Let's see, and then Goose. Apparently, we talked about the arcade cabinets. It's gonna be at Walmart, GameStop if they're still in business.
No.
So Goose is, I think he ordered Rampage. Might be ordering Final Fight because he heard there's a Final Fight one coming out. He's going all in. He's getting like the riser thing and the stool.
I mean, as an adult, you have to get the riser. Like I don't know how this would work otherwise.
Oh, we never answered GameEnthus' question. He said in the chat, we need a good Mortal Kombat remake. All would watch it. Yeah, I'd watch it. I mean, that one they had on the internet a while ago was pretty fun.
But I think that...
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
That was interesting. So, yeah, the Almighty Aller.
So I want to see if I can find this real fast. The faster I do it, the better. But there is a photograph that's been distributed about what these arcade one-up cabinets actually look like in relation to an adult human.
I think I actually have that picture right here.
They are not big.
Nope.
And they look uncomfortably short.
If you scroll halfway down the page, there is a rather... The gentleman, like, his knee comes up to where the joystick starts. So,
yeah.
I mean, but I think that's to be expected when they do these smaller form factors. I just don't get how on the Rampage one you're expected to get 3 people next to each other on them.
3 very small people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you use the same format and you're like, well, this one has a trackpad, this one has a single joystick, this one has 3 joysticks. Like I don't 7. Like, it just seems very weird.
So at this point it's too late, but when you went to the Arcade 1-Up's website about these machines and how to buy them, there were links to take you directly to Walmart.com, which is the site that had it for $2.99 versus $3.99. Now they're all sold out versus like at Walmart.com, so it's too late to get it on that. But at $300, it seems like these are easily moddable versions of whatever you want to make them be more like agreeable to adult size people.
Well, not only that, but the other issue is supposedly like they're not really made to be, to add other games or anything. They're just like, they're kind of...
Well, no, not specifically from the factory, but I'm sure there's ways of doing it.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there are. But yeah,
but it's like the stuff about like the trackball controller, the spinner controller, like those are the things that are just like, you can't just grab a controller and play games as they were intended, like modern day controllers, like an Xbox or a PlayStation controller. That's the only thing that to me is interesting about any of this. Like, if you want to just play Street Fighter, like, that's not that hard to rig up in any way whatsoever.
You mean the barrier for entry for me to be shoulder to shoulder with someone isn't that tough? Yeah.
Or to not be shoulder to shoulder,
right?
And, Yeah.
All right. Mike, what games you been playing?
Still not a whole lot. I did look a little bit more at the Sea of Thieves update. I'm not sure what to say about it because I've been away for so long that I really don't know what I'm doing. But the most recent one that it just came out like yesterday, the day before or something.
Yeah.
I think they call it the Cursed Sails. Basically, you get to fight ships on the sea manned by skeletons instead of other players. But the way to like get introduced to this and officially, I guess, track where the skeleton ships are, there's little evidence to what to do, and there's zero explanation as to how to actually do it. So I'll say the evidence is like on the loading screens, which are long and plentiful. They tell you go to the Golden Sands outpost and talk to the ship right there. So that much I got. You go to talk to her. She says, go talk to the so-and-so person who's kind of taken over for some other person. You go to talk to her. I talk to everybody. I select every like dialogue option. Nothing happens. Okay. What am I supposed to do? Well, there's a couple of items in the shop that aren't for sale or anything. You just look around and you just look at them.
Okay.
One's a pendant. One's
You're good for looking.
I don't remember what the other thing is. So I said, okay. I looked at both of them. Nothing happened. So, okay, turn around and look. Now there's footprints in the sand. Follow the footprints. Okay, follow the footprints. I get to the end. There's a thing that says something. I'll read it. Nothing happens. Okay, what does that mean?
This is exciting.
Well, if you happen to look at the world map and you follow the footprints out, you can actually see the footprints continue on to some other island. And if you go there, you can... I was like, are you kidding me?
With footprints between islands.
This is the stupidest thing I've ever read. How is this supposed to lead me to something better?
But there's water in between the islands, so how would footprints help you?
Oh, I mean, you got a direction, and in theory, I guess you'd run into the next.
Yeah. So supposedly there's all that, but the more I've read is the outcome is it doesn't matter. This is all just stuff that's supposed to help you find these skeleton ships wandering around the seas, but you can run into them anyway.
Gotcha.
They sound absolutely insane. Things like they will launch cannonballs at your ship that will make you drunk as they fly by.
I don't know what that means. Like, will you be sober once they hit something? Like, I don't.
No. Well, so there's chests in the game that when you pick them up, you are drunk while you're carrying them, and then you put them down and you're not. But I mean, the key thing with it is you can't see straight. The whole screen is moving. It disrupts you. Like, there are things about it that mess up your ability to, like, counteract what's going on. And I just read that and I was like, I hate the idea that that's going to happen to me, but now I just want the ability to do that to other people. Like, give my ship the ability to launch drunken cannonballs at other players, and I will be much more inclined to continue to play this game. So I don't know where it's going, but and I missed a whole bunch of stuff in between, all kinds of things like hunting sharks and the skeleton thrones and stuff. I don't know, whatever. Like, I'm really at a loss with that game, and I feel like it takes a lot of time and effort to really understand what's happening.
Gotcha.
And none of it's intuitive. Just, yeah.
But you can get fancy sails.
Yeah. Oh, I could do that before. It took some time, and I paid money for them, and I got them, whatever. But I just, whatever. Who cares? Like, it's a fine game in its own right, but my gaming time is shrunk to the point where if it's not something I can enjoy, like, solitarily within like 15 minutes, then I just can't do it.
Gotcha.
This is a game called Final Fantasy 13.
Oh yeah,
You need to play.
15 minutes in, and you've reached the good part, right?
No, 15 minutes in, you realize that once you're 25 hours in, it will get good.
Yeah, I will say I don't know how much time I put into it, but the Curse of the Moon, the bloodstained, like, here we'll give you something to appease you until the real game comes out kind of thing. I've actually got a little bit of time into that now. I was able to finish the first level. I got to the second boss. I'll get through it. It's not. It is nowhere near as frustrating as Cuphead, but it's in that vein of just memorize stuff. Just play it again and again and again until you memorize what you need to do, and then you'll be able to finish.
Apparently, there's a lot more depth in it. Like, the people that you meet and help them and unlock, a la like Castlevania 3. If you kill them, apparently you get like you can really soup up like the main character. You can make him more powerful by killing
Wait, how did
other
you
people.
kill?
You can kill him, apparently.
You attack the like wizard whatnot instead of leaving the screen, I think.
Wow, I
didn't
don't
realize
remember.
that. There's some more depth to
I
it.
didn't know that was an option. I got the like second character, the one that uses the whip, which I have a feeling is going to be the main character of the main game.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either, but I kind of got that impression. But that's all I've done so far. I don't remember there being an option to attack her instead of having her join the party. I don't know.
Yeah, you attack them. Like, I think you get a dash from her instead of her being another character.
Well, I don't know. I'll definitely play it some more. But yeah, that's pretty much all I can say. So
I think I'm on the last boss on that game.
I think I haven't started that game in a while.
All right.
So,
I'll definitely get back to it though. So
gotcha.
Tiny, have you been playing some Mega Man?
No, I've been playing some Mega Man X, the, I believe, far superior game series in the Mega Man pantheon.
Far superior.
It's what I enjoy more.
You wish death upon Dr. Light.
I mean, it's very sad that it had to wait 100 years. So, I think, does Roll show up in the late? No, she doesn't. Anyway, I mean, I don't know. I enjoy. So I got this for Switch, and I played through the first. I played through the opening and then Chill Penguin because that's the first boss you should go to because you'll get the dash boots and whatnot. And I'm having problems on the second boss. And it's because it's like a bad D-pad. Like I'm having like,
well,
I just don't feel like
you another one.
I think I'm gonna buy one of those.
You know, I mean, there's better options other than the left Joy-Con replacement thing.
I mean, but
do tell.
Like it's not the Pro controller because I
have not the Pro controller, but 8-bit controllers are actually pretty good D-pad.
I could look at that, but like, I mean, let's look at it this way.
Though. I don't know what your options are.
The left joy or the left joypad is a $20 replacement. Like if I buy the Hori one, for example. So,
25, but yeah.
Oh, I thought it was 20, but anyway, not important.
But the 8-bit controllers are like self-sufficient and like more versatile.
True.
Oh, okay.
I have two of them. I have this one, and then I have the one that looks like the Super Famicom.
So yeah, maybe I'll look at that. I just like I can't believe I'm having so much trouble with a game that I have beaten so many.
Or you could just walk away and be like, you know what, Mega Man X is not that important.
No, I want to. It's not only that, but like I want to play it more. And I've been enjoying. Like it's just I don't know. I still enjoy the heck out of that. I actually have my Switch in front of me. They did the thing like they did with the Mega Man Legacy Collection, the first one, where they split it. The first 4 games are on the cartridge, and then the other 4 games are a download code.
Now, apparently, people are quite upset because apparently in the new Spyro trilogy, the first game is on the card, and then the other ones you have to download or the first.
Well, they should be upset that there were Spyro games in that collection that they had to pay for.
What do you have against Spyro?
What? Is that what you got out of what I just said?
I mean, I took it as a very critical of Spyro.
Yeah. No, the problem with the Mega Man X thing is in Japan they had physical versions of both. In US and I imagine Europe, they just decided we're not going to do physical versions of the second half. Which that's the kind of stuff that I don't understand. Like if it's physically impossible and it has to be digital and it's like, oh, we don't have enough space, it would cost $1 million to do like 128 gig cartridge or whatever. Sure, I get it. You have to do it digitally only. But if another region actually has it and they're just like, nah, we don't think it's going to sell well, so we're not going to do it. So you have to buy it digitally instead. That just seems lame to me.
Yeah,
makes me not want to buy it. But it helps that in fact I didn't want to buy it anyway,
and that's fine.
So I'm all good.
I mean, I guess another way to look at it, and I'll try to go positive here. Only buy the first collection, even if you only buy it digitally,
because the other games are terrible.
That's all you really need. Don't 5, 6, 7, and 8 aren't that great.
But what about that?
You get into the PS2 game,
Robot Masters.
But you get it doesn't matter because they're not there. But you get into the PS2 games at that point. There's two PlayStation 1 and then 2 PS2 games, and it's
pretty bad.
Like they're bad. So anyway, I don't have much of a problem with it, but I knew I was aware of what I was buying before I purchased it. So that's fine. Let's see what else. It's actually really kind of been Switch centric. I picked up Money Puzzle Exchanger because it was released as one of the Neo Geo arcade games. If you've never played this game before, it's essentially Puyo Puyo but with money.
This time it's for money.
It's I have difficulties after the 5th or 6th character in this game too. It just they are doing moves faster than I'm, and I probably should just drop the difficulty, but it's a lot of fun. Because essentially you're just taking the coins and trying to get to a 1,000-piece coin, and then it disappears from the stage. But as you make essentially nickels into dimes, and then dimes into 50-cent pieces, and then from there it goes up from there. It's pushing garbage onto your opponent's screen. So, I mean, I don't know. This is a game that I remember watching on Giant Bomb and really I'm like, this is a lot of fun. And now that I got it for $7 or whatever, I'm enjoying it. And then I rebought Enter the Gungeon for some reason that I can't quite figure out.
And I don't know why.
So, but it was on. It's on Switch now. And
no, they had a big update too. I don't
right, the Dungeons and Dragons update or whatever. It's some pun on Dungeons and Dragons.
It's Gungeons and Dragons.
That's it.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know. I'm still playing it. It's a fun game. It's you're bullets shooting bullets.
As you do.
So yeah, as it happens. So I've been enjoying that. What was it? Cursed Souls, I think, is out on Switch now. Which is a game I wanted to check out, but it had some. I want to say there were some real identity issues in it that I remember being a problem. So hopefully they've resolved it. Yeah, I want to check that out too because it's anyway. But yeah, no, it's been mostly Switch. I guess I'm still playing Fortnite and Overwatch, but I'm not gonna keep talking about those guys. Aside from that, that's really been it. Not a whole lot else. What about you, Aaron?
I started playing some Overcooked 2 over the weekend with the girls. It is.
Now, is that officially out or is that preview?
I mean, it's the well, I don't know. It's out in a couple of weeks, I think. They sent me a code for
Overcooked 2 comes out the 7th of this month.
Okay, so it's fairly soon. So yeah, it's a lot like the original one. My wife is not a big fan of us playing it because of all the yelling, namely from me.
You will call me chef. You follow my rules in this kitchen.
The chef
okay,
already
chef.
Cook it.
Yes, chef. Right away, chef.
No, I tell the kids, I'm like, you have to call out what you're doing. You have to say, I'm doing this. You also have to be able to take direction and, pivot on a dime. If the soup is cooking, yes, you said you were going to chop up onions. But if I yell, X child's name, get the soup. You have to stop what you're doing and get that soup. And it gets pretty.
It gets intense, is what you're saying?
It gets really intense because you have to be on it, otherwise we fail, and we're not going to fail.
Not well, the soup Nazi's in charge.
Failure is not an option. So
right, this restaurant's not going down.
So, but it is very similar to the original game, obviously. Ridiculous premise. Again, that I can't remember what it is. Other one was like that monster. What was?
They want to
people
satiate the spaghetti monster.
Yeah, people had stopped cooking in the future, so all you could make was a salad for the spaghetti monster.
Yes.
So that King Onion goes back in time with his dog, so that you can learn the recipes, so that you are a capable chef in the future to stop said monster. That is the story of Overcooked.
Yeah, that's a pretty wild story. So this one is more like the unbred are coming to life, back to life. So you have to like be able to cook for the undead bread, essentially. It doesn't matter. I mean, one of the mechanics they added was the ability to throw things. So some stages, like you're in the middle of the water for whatever reason, and you have to throw, like one person's on one side and they have cutting boards so they can chop up chicken and potatoes. So you have to throw the food over the water to them to pick up, to chop up, to throw back to you so you can put in the deep fryer. It is very similar, but it's still fun. So it's kind of more of the same, but they've made some tweaks to it. It's nuts. Yeah, it is quite nutty. Play some Flat Heroes today. That is it's like a platformer. I played on Steam like a year or two ago. It's on Switch, or coming to Switch pretty soon. You're like a little cube, and there's like stuff just trying to kill you in like a one screen level, and you have to do all types of things to not get killed. I know that makes it sound like, what is this? But it's a lot of fun. There's a multiplayer mode in there. I unlocked a survival mode by I guess once you beat a certain number of bosses. I think I went through the first 3 or 4 worlds. I just couldn't put it down. So Flat Heroes is a lot of fun. Still playing some Pool Panic. I need to get further in that. That's out maybe this week, maybe next weekend. So Pool Panic is the game where you're like the cue ball and you're trying to take out all the other balls in an environment that is not necessarily a pool table. It's kind of nuts. Play a whole bunch more Bomb Chicken. I like that game. You can't jump, but you can lay bombs, not eggs, and I don't know. The levels have a lot of variety, a lot of challenge. So I'm really feeling that one. What else? And then the Slamland. Slamland is like, it's not like a basketball game, but it's sort of like you pick up, like there's no ball. You pick up the other players and slam them into like a hole or some creature's mouth or like their eyeball. It's just nutty. It's all over the place, but it's a lot of fun. What else? Pixel Rip 1989. That's the one I played at PAX East, VR game where you're a kid in class playing a Game Kid. It's like a Game Gear, Game Boy kind of thing, and you have to be wary of the teacher, because when the teacher starts looking at you, you get in trouble for playing the game. So you have to like use your head to like look at the spitball, so you can shoot the spitball different things in the room to distract the teacher, so you can keep playing the game. It's fairly short. Like I think might be at the end boss already. It's not a very long experience, but it's a lot of fun. And one thing I like about it is it's a VR game that you can just sit down. I don't have to stand up. I can just sit down and play this game, and I'm enjoying that, because sitting can be quite fun. Let's see what else. I should have been playing some Tempest. Mike, have you played any more Tempest? I guess you haven't, since you didn't mention it.
No.
Okay.
I mean, as I mentioned before, it's got like a weird like sloppiness to it that I'll play it again, but I have not been playing it now.
What else? Radio Hammer Station on the Switch. This is like a sort of a rhythm game. They really don't explain it really well. Like, there's no tutorial. They just kind of like throw you in there. And the weird part about this game is you're like one of two women on the left side. You have like hammers or mallets or whatever. And the enemies come on the right side, like hit them, to the beat or whatever. But I'm pretty sure most of the enemies are flashers, which is kind of weird. Every enemy is, at least on the first two stages, are flashers. So it's just like,
so they're like trench coat, like
yes.
Okay.
So it's like, what is this supposed to be? Like, so
there you go. That's interesting.
Yep, sure is. What else? Yeah, Flipping Death came in. I didn't get a chance to play that yet, unfortunately. That's I don't know if anybody ever played Stick It to the Man.
I remember Stick It to the Man.
Very fun game. Yeah. So very similar art style, same developer. So I'm looking forward to getting into that. And I guess the last thing is this thing called Air Console. Did you get an email about Air Console?
Yes. I just don't remember what it was.
So Air Console basically takes sort of the Jackbox Party Pack Kahooted. If you've ever heard of the Kahooted website, you can make your own trivia games and you can just link it up with phones and play. That's what we did for my oldest for Sweet 16. We had a whole bunch of trivia questions about her, and we brought a TV into the restaurant, and the 20 plus people everybody could pull out their phone. Not everybody, but like 10, 15 people pull out their phone, all play a game, like guessing things about her. It's pretty cool, but you can make it yourself. Anyway, Air Console is the same kind of premise where they have like 100 built-in games. And all you need is everybody has a phone, and the interface will change based on the game, and you do it all with your phone. I get a chance to try it out. Hopefully I'll try it out this weekend. Seems interesting. I don't know how deep the experiences will be, but I mean, it's party game stuff. I don't think anybody's trying to do anything too deep in it, but interesting premise. It's an idea. People have phones, people like games. Why not, right? So, yeah. That's pretty much it for me.
Good stuff.
Yeah, so on the way out, I mentioned the Spiral thing already, and then Tanya, did you have this thing about the Wii U game?
I did. Did you? So Shantae and the half-genie hero got an update this week called Jammies Mode, and they updated the Wii U version. Like, a Wii U game got an update this week. How weird is that? So anyway, it's apparently like there's some kind of Blaster Master cross promotion in it. And like it's free for everyone, and it should be out on all platforms now. But yeah, Shantae does a transformation dance where she changes into essentially a Shantae version of the tank from Blaster Master.
Yeah, I did get the email. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. In this new storyline, Shantae wants to throw a big slumber party for everyone who helped her in her recent adventures, and you're invited. So and that's why it's called Jammy Mode. So.
Oh, and GameEnthus said in the chat, no Dead Cells. I played Dead Cells like last year, like the early access version on Steam. I still have it. I just haven't played it in a while.
I won that game from...
It was fun. I definitely saw people are digging it. The only thing is, I've played so many Metroidvania, so many roguelikes. It's just, I don't know. There's just so many of those. I just can't do it. But it is well made. It is a good one. It is,
Did that come out on Switch this week?
It might be coming out the end of this week, or if not, then next week.
I think it's coming soon.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
and apparently We Happy Few is coming out like next week.
Yes.
I had no idea. I thought it was like October or something.
No, I thought it was August.
But I got into the preview program before, they had signed up with Microsoft and all that stuff. So I guess I'll get the game anyway. So great. I think it's 50 new. So I mean, I played them really early. I was surprised they released it to members of the press and viewers and streamers and stuff so early because it was really, really rough.
Gotcha.
But that was,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Dead Cells comes out 8/7 on Switch. And Salt and Sanctuary comes out tomorrow on Switch.
Yeah, I tried to get into that on PS4 and the Vita. I just couldn't. It was too difficult. I'm not, yeah. Like a 2D Dark Souls. Couldn't do it. Couldn't hang.
Did you get a code for, I don't know what, a Sleep Tight? I remember asking, and then I remember them telling me they didn't have any more for Switch, and I was like, yeah, I'm good then.
I got it on Steam.
So I wanna check that game out. It's like a tower defense.
Yeah, I play a little bit of it on Steam. It's fun. It's tower defense, but real time action. I got to where I was setting up turrets and things like that, and you can put furniture on the way to sort of make the enemies funnel into an area. But the problem is, you need to build up the money. Because, I had like one turret on one side and like a couch on the other side.
And your economy kind of deal.
Just walk around it and shoot, get at me anyway. So, I don't know. It was fun. It seemed like it was pretty cool.
I'm just going to throw this out here. It's super weird that Titan Quest is out on Switch. Because that's a game that came out on PC in like 2002. So...
I just share the love. Why not, right?
Like, I think it's also coming to the other platforms too. It's just like, it's like a generic, it's like a Diablo ripoff, but set in like Greek mythology. So,
whatever works.
Anyway, we should probably get out of here. But yeah, no, they did an update to a Wii U game. How weird is that? So, that platform's not dead.
Yeah, it is, but this is fun. As long as Meme Run is a place to be played, it'll live on. It'll live on.
I thought they took that off the shop like years ago.
Then all hope is lost. So, yep, pretty much.
We're in the worst timeline. So, anyway, Mike, do you have anything to share about signing off and whatnot?
Are you still there, Mike?
Are you talking on mute? Or not? Hey, have your dog spayed or neutered. Have your dog and cats, I guess, spayed or neutered by a professional. And remember to give blood.
Yes.
So, also, hey, if you haven't signed up for Extra Life, go to extra-life.org/team/GameEnthus and come join our team. We could use the help reaching our $10,000 goal for the year. I think we're at like $3,800 right now. So
pretty big goal.
We had some huge donations at the end of the last year. But we did relative. I think we were around there last year. So, but yeah, come join the team, play some games for your local Children's Miracle Network Hospital, and raise some money to help the kids. So, and Aaron, what about you, bro?
Well, thank you to, I know she had to depart, but thank you to Tracy for joining us and just sharing some of her experiences. That was interesting. That's for sure. Yeah, so our information will be in the show notes if you want to check it out. Thank you everybody who jumped into the chat, Game Vet and Goose and everybody else who came in and said hello and stuck around for a while. We definitely appreciate it. Thank you, Game Vet, for your questions. For your questions, makes the show better. When people are involved, or not us. Well, it's good if we're involved too, but you know what I mean.
Apparently, Aaron doesn't want me to be involved.
That's not all I'm involved anymore. The show should edit itself. Come on, learn how to edit yourself. What are you doing? If you want,
you heard the announcement. Yeah, you heard the announcement here now. GameEnthus is retiring. So
getting too old for this stuff. So if you want to leave us feedback, you can leave us send us an email, podcast@GameEnthus.com. Voicemail line is 202-573-7686. All of our Twitter information is, if you just go to @GameEnthus, it'll list all of our Twitter information so you can find us. And I think that's it.
Good stuff.
Yeah, it's a shame Mike disappeared.
That's the mystery we're gonna have to solve.
Then again, we couldn't see him, so it could have been anybody talking this whole time.
Exactly.
And we would have never known.
So, but later on.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm doing a show next week. I'll let you know.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
are we done?
We'll be back at some point.
I was going to say, are we done streaming?
Nope. But Lauren will be back, and I guess that's it. Have a good one.
Sounds good.